Nice guy.
Well, and that's what this is for.
And he lives.
Need a little bit extra safety for beverages or.
Yeah, he already
Jump in.
I don't think that they actually work with the regional planner.
Are we at the time as well? Okay, great. Wonderful.
I don't know what he's got.
Good morning, everyone. I think we're gonna kick it off here. Let's join me in the pledge, please. Join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning. Andy Hunthausen, Commissioner Candace Payne. We'll introduce the rest here in a second. Just explanation. Chair Rolf is not with us today. I am now the vice chair. We've rotated our roles as we do annually. So I get to chair the meeting today. So again, welcome everyone. Roger Baltz, our Chief Administrative Officer, is here. Jenny Chambers, Director of Public Works and Planning. And over here we have our DES folks, which are Kyle Sturgill-Simon, our Emergency Manager, and Autumn Ashdale, which she's our DES coordinator. I call her Spring sometimes. So welcome again.
You could get struck by lightning.
I know, it's very likely. We don't have a lot on the agenda other than reports, and I was hoping we'd see someone from the Sheriff's Office, but no one yet. Any community council update, sir?
Nothing right now.
Yeah, thank you, Zach.
We didn't have meetings the last 2 months. Zach Muse, the community council. I know as far as the Lincoln Prosperity proposal goes, we took the last few months off on that, and now we're kicking it back up again. And we're looking at possibly joining that with the Blackfoot Clearwater one that they've been, what is it called? Blackfoot Challenge? No.
And it's the Blackfoot
Peace.
Clearwater,
Wilderness, something.
like the Wilderness Act possibly?
Yeah.
It's where they want to expand
Stewardship
recreation
Act.
areas. I'm sorry, yeah, it's
BCSA. And
the
it's been,
Blackfoot Clearwater Stewardship Act, yes.
so it's been around longer than us,
Right.
a little bit. But we met with them last spring because they were getting no traction. We were, but they were thinking maybe they could join in with us. And we looked at theirs, and it's like, no, not the way it sits, because you put our map up, their map up. Ours has motorized, it has wilderness, of course, it has forest management, it has conservation management, does away with some of the inventory roadless areas, creates trails, and then designates a motorized area. Their map has wilderness.
Right.
And that's not the deal. But they have done a lot of stuff for motorized, but they're not taking credit for it. So I told them, I said, you walk in a room and look at those two maps, I said, you're gonna walk right past that first one because it's all wilderness and you're gonna go to ours. And so they started over. I don't know if they're renaming it to, I think the river runs through it. But they're gonna put on the map all the things that they have done during the process of trying to get that pushed through, so that it looks like it's not just a wilderness proposal. So we're supposed to meet with them here end of the month and see if they've got any traction on getting their program a little more appealing to the public. And if it does, and it looks more like what we're doing as a collaboration of a whole bunch of entities, motorized, non-motorized, wilderness, conservation, wildlife, ranchers, miners, then maybe we'll consider it. And Senator Gaines said that it would be a little better shot if we could combine them, because when you put in a collaboration, if you try to get something passed with just wilderness, even though if you get a senator to take that, they gotta go down the hallway and get votes from across the aisle. And likewise, we want less wilderness, we can't just do motorized. It's not, it won't fly in today's day and age. So that's about all we're doing right now on that. That's about it for council business, public works, address that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any questions for community council? All right, thank you very much. All right, Jim, Forest Service. By the way, as you're walking up there, I'll just mention thank you for being here. It's a nice consideration and service, and you don't have to be here, so it's very kind of you to come every month and to give us an update and stay connected with us, so I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jamie Arbor, Lincoln District Ranger. We had a blowdown, you might have heard about it. So every Forest Service trail, road, and facility was blown shut, every one of them. So the public on in the open motorized routes and slow routes, they are clearing them as they go. So thank you to the public for that. And up there in Indian Meadows, we only lost a woodshed that we know, but lots of grazing allotment fencing has been compromised all over the forest. We'll learn more as spring comes and we look into it, but there's plenty out there. We did apply for disaster relief funding that went in today, and so we'll see where that comes. Right, the funding, as we all know, has been frozen for the Forest Service for a while. So we're still trying. That doesn't mean we don't try. Some of the timber that fell in the NEPA cleared ground, Willow Creek, Hogan, the purchaser's going to get out of there, so there's no reason to leave it laying. But they're taking it as they can, as they will. There's just it's not concentrated enough to warrant a new timber sale anywhere. So it's just hit and miss. The real concentrations were on the Flathead, I think, and on the Kootenai, where those events took place. But anyway, we're working on it. It's going to be an issue that we're going to be dealing with for the next couple of years, probably, given our workforce, the size of our workforce. So we're currently clearing the road to Grand Butte. It was closed due to the trees blowing over the road and the travelway. So they were canceling reservations up there. But our folks are up there today. They were up there a few days ago, clearing that up and opening that up. The rental facility at Indian Meadows, we also cleared so they can get in there and rent. And so they're still able to access this stuff. We're also working on the cross-country ski trails and stipple paths. That's slow going, because there's a lot of blow down up there. It's exposed, some of that. And so, let's see, what else? Dalton Mountain Road, on the south side of Dalton Mountain, where the forest boundary is. There's a road that intersects Dalton Mountain Road and goes to the west. It's called Finn K1. It's a little road. It's only 0.18 miles in length. The road itself, due to an oversight during travel management intersection, was on private. We didn't get an easement for that private. It's easier for me to do a small NEPA, move the road onto Forest Service, and retain its travel management status. I'm not changing the travel management status. It's still an open system road. So the users or the private holdings will still have access. We're not shutting anything off, and so motorized access. So that is scheduled to be constructed probably this spring or this field season coming up. I'll sign the NEPA documents this month or next month. It's small, but we ran through all the entire river, small river. So that's going to happen. Copper Creek Road is scheduled to go this summer still, so that funding is still in place, and that's scheduled to still be constructed. The contract was awarded. So,
All right.
I think that's all I have for now.
I got a question for you, Jim. You were talking about the grazing allotments on the Forest Service land, how the fences were, there's a problem with the fences and the Forest Service doesn't have the budget to fix those. So does that compromise the rancher's ability to use that as grazing allotments, or do they go in and fix the fence themselves?
They'll fix the fence themselves, and typically that stuff is within the permit. It's captured within their responsibilities of the permit to.
Oh, okay, so
to
you
fix it, but we still will help them with fencing in certain ways. Or just like logging and everything else, if we can come up with funding and stuff like that, we'll do like expensive jackleg stuff, cattle guards on roads, those types of things. You know, stock fences at the cattle guards, where they can open up the fire gate and go around the cattle guard.
Yeah.
When they're moving cows through. So there are things like that we help with, we try to help with, we go out with money and try to get done. We'll do NEPA for them for range improvements like water and so forth. But typically it's their responsibility to take care of the fencing. But if we can take care of it, we'll help. We definitely pitch in and help them out.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's all.
All right, anything else, any other questions? Again, thanks for being
I
here.
do have one.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
So on Copper Creek, once it's turned back to dirt, Zach can use public, I guess. What is the grading plan on that, schedule on that?
So I don't have it yet. I'll have to talk to Dan Woods, the forest engineer, and find out what his rotation is. I've asked for that road to be graded at least twice a year.
Yeah.
But our contractor and the funding we have doesn't really allow for that, because they have the whole forest.
Yeah.
So, I can ask and find out. I don't know what it is. I can ask for 3 times a year, that doesn't mean I'm gonna get it. So,
I just know, I mean, we all know
It's a
how
mess.
it is past the bridge.
oh yeah,
And washboard it out
Yeah.
2 days after you do it, so
Yep.
it's.
Yep.
I mean, asking the question before the public starts raising that.
yeah, all right, very good. I'll follow up. Yeah, for sure. Speed is the number one thing that kills dirt roads.
Yes, horse trailers.
Horse trailers and speed, if they could slow down and get there 30 seconds later, it would make a big difference. But all that dust you see going away, that is the fines that bind the material together on the road that makes it a good road, and if you think that that's not there.
Right.
But the washboard road will slow people down.
Some of them,
Well, some of them think that if they go faster, they skirt across the top.
it's true.
Some people are idiots.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Any other questions for Jim? Okay, appreciate you being here. Jenny, Public Works.
Jenny Chambers, Public Works and Planning Department Director. Today's Public Works update. Like Forest Service, we also have been very busy with the wind storm in Public Works. They're still out there removing trees and things in the right of way, so people driving should still remain cautious. Crews cut and removed 14 loads of trees off of Stonewall and Meadow Street. And we still have trees that we need to remove on Simple Pass Road in the right of way. And so as time continues, we'll get those cleaned up. Luckily, up in Lincoln, we didn't have a lot of traffic sign damage. In the North Valley, in Helen, we sure did. We're still ordering and getting signs and put in place. Of course, the priority signs were stop signs that we had lost due to the windstorm. And then from there, other traffic control signs. And then the last one we're gonna do is any kind of street signs. Will be the last ones that go up. So yeah, and we've got an inventory of all those across the county that we'll share with emergency response and other folks on just kind of what that impacts were to the county as a whole. The other thing that we've been struggling with this year is, of course, the weather. Typically this time of year, we would just be doing snow and snow removal. Certainly that's happening up in Lincoln, but we also had a lot of freezing rain and mild temperatures. So freezing rain, then it melts and then it freezes again. Simple Pass Road has been a solid ice for motorists, to the point where we, even on the county equipment, have had to chain up more times this year than we have had in probably the last 5 years. So just within the last couple months, based upon all the ice. Kevin's note to me said, "Ice, ice, baby." So that's what I had here as far as notes. In addition, we put a lot of sand out in areas on Stemple. However, we can't sand the 26 miles of road. So we focus on the curves, the hills, and then intersections. Last month, we've applied 120 plow trucks, loads of sand in the Lincoln area. That's about triple what we typically would do this time of year. So, and we just can't stay at the same pace long-term with what that looks like. We still are struggling with the overall icy conditions. We still have the open Lincoln equipment operator, so if anybody knows of an equipment operator up in Lincoln, the CDL, that wants to come on board and help Kenny out here, that would be helpful. So that position's posted on the county website. You can also contact the road department to get more information on that, if folks are interested. And then we also have recently repaired a guardrail on Temple Pass Road, so that's been addressed and fixed. And the last thing I was going to mention to folks is on Monday, we're going to, in Public Works countywide, are going to launch an online reporting tool. It's called Citizen Problem Reporter, is what we're calling it. It's tied to our geospatial GIS system. Folks can log in, they can see a map. If there's a pothole in a certain location in Lincoln, you could go to the website, post the location, say there's a pothole here, and then it'll go to our road department, and then you'll see the status of received, and then either completed, or we've been saying completed and knowing it's gonna be in the spring when it's on our inventory list to get fixed. We're hoping it's gonna be more efficient for folks, and also help the staff and the staff time as far as components. For instance, we'll get a call on a pothole location from like 20 different people. So yes, we know we're aware of the pothole, we know where that's at. If you can go to this portal first, see, yep, it's already been reported, it's on our radar, things are gonna be addressed based upon that reporting requirement. So that is good. We're gonna do a press release on Monday, we're gonna put social media posts and on the website, and we're hoping it's gonna be a good customer service tool. It's not gonna eliminate our phone calls or our coordination. If you put your name and number on there and want to return phone call back, staff will still call you and we'll have that interaction one-on-one. So we're just trying to have a platform for just customer service and what the interaction looks like. So it's also going to help me with reporting to you commissioners as far as the number of calls we're getting, kind of the dashboard of statistics on what the volume is, what kind of reports we're getting on calls. These are again for non-emergency type situations. If there's a stop sign down, a tree blocking a road, or other emergency situations, you need to know that right away, either through sheriff's dispatch or directly with our road department calling the numbers. So this is kind of just a platform for tracking those other types of non-emergency situations. So that's what I have to do today.
Well, thank you, that's great, I'm glad that we're headed in that direction. Something we were talking about on the way up, I know in the last several years, we've gone through the process of acquiring four new snowplows, is it four? I can't remember.
For
new.
yep.
So we're just wondering, where are those deployed? Are most of them deployed in the Helena Valley? I think, did one get deployed to the past? I can't remember. Do you remember where they all are?
Commissioners,
It was more of a curiosity question. We were trying to remember where they were deployed.
they are deployed and being out there in the field. I don't know if they didn't all go to remote locations. I
Okay.
think, I don't know for sure, but I can get back to you guys on that one, but
Next month. Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next month. We'll bring that as a data next point next month.
Yeah.
The other thing that we're getting, which is kind of exciting, is our 6 new graders.
Yeah.
And they're coming in as well, and they're getting surplus out. So we're where the actual snowplows are on what district. We'll talk about that next month, and we can also show the different districts within the county. It'll actually be like a good visual map. And here's how we break out York area to Lincoln to Wolf Creek to North Valley and Helena.
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk about next week in Augusta, but
One in here, Augusta.
also, next month, maybe in addition to that, just the process, you know, how we, our CIP process and how we rotate and we're on a scheduled basis for plows and graders and whatnot, so, maybe just explaining that would be good. Yeah, okay, any questions for, please, come on up, yeah.
From the fire chief side, I know Kenny, Public Works takes a beating sometimes on grading, whatever, but when we had the wind event, we appreciated because we had every one of our people out from 10 in the morning till 10 at night, 11 at night. But he was out helping push stuff out of the way, so that we didn't have to cut it into small pieces and all that. He could come through and hit it with the plow just a little bit to knock it out of the way so the roads were open, and he stayed out huge for us, saved us a lot of time, and we could go to other calls.
Thank you, yeah, appreciate that, Zach. That was my main focus for those guys during that windstorm, was just to get the road cleared. And then we were gonna come back later to get the stuff cut out of the right of way and get cleaned up. But we only had one, area that we had to deploy in on Country Club Road, that the tree actually blocked the whole road, and we gotta get out there with it. I think 4 chainsaws and 4 guys, plus a backhoe to actually get that road cleared off, in time to get started. So, yeah, I think we all kind of, everybody, all the emergency folks, public works, and then the fire, department folks really pitched in to kind of take team on coordination on that.
We even had DNRC, the
Yep.
FMO and FMO were up here kind of ramrodding things and plotting it and sending us out, so it was a
Yep.
huge effort.
All hands on deck, yep.
Thank you, yeah, good coordination. Any other questions for, okay? We do have a representative from Public Health here today. I'll let you introduce yourself. I don't know what your topic is today, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, sorry to throw.
No, I understand.
Well, I actually brought you, I was just gonna summarize kind of 2025 and, some changes that we're doing here in 2026. This is just a summary document there. Thank you. I am Nina Heinzinger, and I am the licensed establishment supervisor for the county. And we oversee, as you can see here, we have about, usually between 650 and 700 licensed establishments throughout the county. And that includes our retail food, which is our biggest program. That's about 64% of our establishments. Public accommodations, trailer courts, campgrounds, wholesale food, pools and spas, and then we also inspect but do not license group homes and daycares. So in 2025, our team of 3 inspectors, who are 2.8 full-time equivalents, did 700 inspections throughout the county. Those are just the routine inspections that they do. There's also follow-up inspections that build on that. And so we were able to get to most of our establishments this year, over 95% on a lot of our categories, 100% in several categories as well, in terms of being able to get in and inspect them, and then also to carry out some follow-up inspections with them as well. So 2025 was a pretty successful year, but we have a lot of things changing in 2026 that I want to kind of bring you up to speed on. First of all, if you weren't aware that all of our licensed establishment fees that they pay were increased in 2026, that went through the legislature earlier this year. So about anywhere from about a third to double the amount that they were paying. And the reason for that fairly large increase was that the fees have not been increased since 2009. And our fees are still fairly low compared to a lot of other states and areas. So, and we also recategorized our retail food establishments. They used to pay license fees based on just whether they had 2 or less individuals doing food service in that establishment, and then more than 2 paid a different fee. Now it's broken out into 3 categories. We have a small, a medium, and a large, and so those large places are now 10 or more, so big places, you think Costco, big restaurants, things like that. Then we have our mediums, our 3 to 9, lots of our basic restaurant type setups, and then the 2 or less really are our coffee kiosks, convenience stores, things like that are in that category. And they, of course, pay a lower fee than our larger ones. So, and we also increased and broke out year-round pools and spas from ones that are just seasonal, because year-round pools we go to inspect twice, and seasonal only once. And those fees do reflect, so if you're seasonal, you pay less for your pool than a year-round pool. So, the year-round pools pay a little bit more. The other thing that's coming down the line is that the state is moving to a new licensing database for our licenses that will include an inspection database as well, and those inspections then will be available to the public. And we already make our inspections available to the public, but I've been trying to push that out more. We make all of our retail food available on our website, and we use a little QR code now, so everybody can go to it. And we've got information about our inspections there as well. I'll hand some out to the community too. So for those inspection reports right now, it's just retail food, but later this year, it will be inspections for any of the licensed establishments that we go to, so that the public knows what we're seeing and what we're trying to correct in these various establishments as we work with that. So it's just trying to be more public with that information and provide that information to the public more easily. So,
Thank you, Nina. So I'm just curious about that. So if I go on and look at my favorite restaurant and it's been inspected, what might I see? What might?
You would see, if it had any violations, you would see a summary of that violation, what the inspector observed, and what was done to correct that violation, or what they are asking the place to correct. And depending on the severity of the violation, it may say that, you know, we're going to follow up in 10 days, or 3 days, or immediately, we want to see a picture tomorrow that this was corrected. You know, it really depends on the severity of the violation, so.
But I think that's important, because it might be that you go in and say, well, everything looks great, the food's healthy, but you gotta replace your grease traps or something, because they're outdated or whatever. And so to see that, it's not a big
Not a big
violation,
deal.
it's something they can fix. like that.
And we've gone and kind of revamped our, the information on this website with the restaurant inspection report, trying to make it more clear at what our inspectors are looking for, that it is what we call just a time stamp in terms of seeing that place. It's not like, we're not in there constantly, so we observe what we observe during the time that we're in there. And we really rely on the public to communicate with us if they're seeing things of concern, so that we can investigate them, so, yeah.
And just so folks know as well, because I know this is what you do from my experience on Board of Health and talking with you over the years, that you're there to help folks. So it's not a gotcha thing. If a restaurant or some other establishment has a need, you're trying to help them make sure that they get that corrected, not get them in trouble or.
We try to come up with a
down.
plan with them in terms of correcting whatever the problem is. Some of these plans take a very short time to execute, some are going to be longer. So, for example, I was with one of my inspectors in a place the other day, and their refrigerators were just packed, because they're getting a lot more business than they expected. So we came up with a plan of, you know, what are some of the things you can do to then, you know, increase your refrigeration. You know, short term, get another unit that you have in your storage area, but long term, a walk-in, you know, refrigerator, but that's a lot more expensive, and you got to plan for that. So, you know, we're looking at a longer time period on something like that. So, yeah. So we do try to work with places. Obviously, if it's an immediate health hazard, you know, we're gonna jump on it. You know, we've had to close a few places over the last couple of years because of certain situations that were going on, but then we work with them to get them reopened as well. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments? All right, you have some of these available for the folks that.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And
That's
if you
great.
want to, you could push them out and put them in places in the community too.
Here we go.
Would be a good place too.
You know, you might
Here.
just leave them in the library here.
Thank you. Is there,
Yeah,
I might run next door and put it in.
yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah,
Sure, I don't know if that door's open now, but you can do that after the meeting as well.
okay.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, DNRC's been here faithfully. Do you want, anything you want to add to the conversation? I mean, if you'd like to be on our list to give a nice little report every month, we could probably accommodate that.
Certainly in the future, I actually don't have anything at this time. I mean, it would be redundant to everything that's been reported by the other cooperators, so. But
So we will put you on the list though, if the
Sure.
other, if the commissioners are okay with that. All right, sounds good. And then we had, our fine sheriff, came in, and we'd love to give you an opportunity to
Let me get comfortable.
educate us and, fill us with your wisdom of sorts. Sir?
Fill you with my wisdom, I can sit back down now. Roger, how are you? Good. Welcome all of you. All of you stay seated. Rise. Anyway, glad that everyone could make it in the roads. So you'll warm up to my humor. It may take a couple of days, but we'll get there. Anyway, the sheriff's office has been busy. I know I say that every time, but it's true. I think back of, I like when we call things like the wind event. We had a wind event, and it smashed houses, smashed trees, smashed cars. And my neighbor's tree that we had offered to go in with him to help cut down, he didn't do it. So I said, oh, so I got insurance for it. So I was thinking, all right, I'm gonna get a new deck out of this. But the thing blew the other way. So I didn't get a new deck out of it. The poor neighbor next to him will get a new fence, things like that. So that little deal hit close to home and had all kinds of things going on. But what I did see is a lot of people coming out and neighbors helping neighbors because of the people that were, that we have public works, we have all that kind of stuff, but we were overwhelmed. Yes, even I was out there with a chainsaw cutting down so I could get to work. Broadway was closed off, and so you never know what you're gonna need to pack. So I just happened to be packing a chainsaw anyway, and I know how to use it. So those are things that have happened. You may have seen here recently that we have had a request, an appropriations in back in Washington DC. And when the government shut down, all that went to a screeching halt for a while. But Troy Downing's staffer called me the first of the week and said, hey, your appropriation is gonna be up on Wednesday. So what that appropriation is for, we put in, you always put in for everything you could get. So he had $3 million available, so we put in for $3 million, but we didn't get $3 million. In the House, they passed it, so it's gotta go to the Senate. But it's $500,000, or, $500,000 for radio equipment, and it's to be able to connect Starlink into our radio system. Anyway, I can hang on just a second. I just need to shut it off because it's ringing in my ears. You can't hear it, but I can. And it's important for you to know when I start to look goofy. I was like, pardon me. Anyway, my beautification project took a little longer this morning. I had to work on it, so you would be wowed at the fantabulous results, and I appreciate that. So, anyway, we got peanut gallery to go to sleep. So we'll wait till 500,000 goes to the Senate to see if we're successful. So we had originally got $1 million, took a haircut, and you can tell you guys are used to giving me haircuts. But it helps, it will help, especially if we're up in this area, Lincoln, help for disasters, things like that. And
It's not me.
no, I don't know how this thing is doing that, but
He usually does it to us.
now Siri's talking. Dang it. Can't say that word without the phone going off. Anyway, so, yeah. Those are exciting things. You guys had a tragic accident up here with death result. Thank you for responding. Those are not easy to look at or deal with, but you do. And 2 fatalities, and I don't know about, I haven't heard, there was 1 person in critical condition, and I haven't heard back on that. I've not heard if, clearly, they came together and with the direct head-on, but it was pretty close. Anyway, so the coroner's division has just really been busy. And I know that I don't normally talk about the coroner's division, because usually I think that's a dead issue, so we don't really bring it up, but, well, anyway. Anyway,
That was a subtle one.
The toll that takes on them, we have a whole new staff in there. It's just Scott Lindgren has retired some time ago, and now it's all gals that work there, and they're doing a good job. So we have forensic, she wants to be a forensic examiner, but she's operating as a evidence tech, but she has training in anthropology and things like that, so that will come in handy. Usually who we work with is the anthropology department. When we get an old skeleton, we'll get those out of Missoula to come over. Speaking of that, the football game, everybody watch the Cats win? Go Cats, go Cats, they won. 1 point, a win,
Yeah.
win, no matter how thin. Anyway, so if you're not a Bobcat fan, sorry, not. I was happy they did, and my house was loud, not maybe as loud as Nashville, but they won, they didn't give up. So I thought anybody who gets called offside 10 times, they're not gonna make it, but they did. Back to the sheriff's office, the jail, something that I'll explain to all this crowd here that on TV land, that we were really busting at the seams even with our new addition. We have 164 beds and we were running about 180. But there's a program that we said we would do that you voted for in 2018 called pretrial. And pretrial got in here, and this morning we were at 132, and we've been low. When I say low, it's not where nobody's going to jail. But pre-trial, what they do is they can get out and they have to report in to this program. They have 2 or 3 meetings a week. People who are affluent can pay their bond and get out and never worry about it. These people that don't have any money, that's who we have in jail a lot, don't have the money for bond, and or they're criminals. I mean, they're dangerous. So some of the judges just say, no, you're going to stay in there. You're a risk to the public safety. We have some of those. Anyway, the program's working. If we didn't have pretrial has on their roster 332 people. So we would have 132 plus 322 in our jail if we didn't have that program. So I'm thankful for it. It works. It keeps people in there. It keeps people into seeing the judge. So you were hoping for a short meeting. You can check here. About to the end of it. We'll, our budget, we've had to go through and do some budget cutting. So some of the things we were going to do, such as a strategic plan, we get together every other year, had to cut that because we don't have the funds. We have, just like your home budget, you don't have the money, you don't get to do it. detention's a good place to start, really is. It's a hard job. There are people in there that should be, there are people that, there are people in our detention center that bother me because they have a mental health issue, but they've committed a serious crime. So they're in there, and we're low on the list of getting them out to Warm Springs. So that's where they really need to be. That they're violent, so Warm Springs doesn't want them. So we hold them, but we're not a tertiary care center. Under that 2018 levy, we did get we have a mental health therapist. We have more nurses that are there. We have a lot of our own medical. So we can monitor them. We started in the same time I call it Suboxone. It helps people get off of not meth, but maybe cocaine or something like that. It does work. We're going to run out of money on that program, but I think there's another funding source that we'll go after. And people think that we pat their hands and not really make it, we don't have any rocks for them to pound, but there's some people that want them out there making gravel. That may work in the south, but it doesn't cut down on recidivism real well. We've got a good program, we just need to stick with it. So that's a report on the jail. Search and rescue hasn't really been that busy, so I don't know. Maybe it's the advent of cell phones that people can find each other. These cell phones now have satellite capability, so you can text through satellite. So when you're lost, we can find them easier. So some of the technology is helping us. Let's see, there's all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, world events tend to cause issues for me. There are people that are angry at the federal government, and I'm not the federal government. Oh, and thank you for that letter, very much. It's from Antifa.
Is it?
Yep. I'm going to invite them to Lincoln.
I'm glad I didn't sneak a peek at that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Not on that topic, but I did have a question for you, just about the Lincoln deputy and the progress and what
Oh, yeah.
people might see there.
Okay, so Chance Hill is your Lincoln deputy, and he's very close to getting the doctor's release. He's working in the detention center now for light duty, and he'll be coming back, I think, in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, we chase somebody up here 4 times, 5 times a week, I think. And so it's not a person, it's somebody from the shift gets assigned to come up. And we'll have a new resident deputy in Augusta, and when we're there, we'll introduce that person there. So Chance will be coming back up, so you have the regular person that you can establish a relationship with. A friend of mine didn't retire, I think he quit. Brian Buchan, from Director of Corrections, DOC. He's I think he's gonna get appointed to being the new U.S. Marshal. I went to his retirement party last night, and I give him a bad time. We're like brothers. But so one of the secrets to his success is relationships. We argue. Sometimes, we've never, we're like brothers, we've never been in a fist fight, but we're close a couple times. But the fact is that there isn't anything I wouldn't do for him, and there's the same for him for me. He's come to my rescue. We were just crying because we couldn't hold another person in our jail. And I called him and I said, Brian, you gotta help us out. We got like 50 of your people in here and we can't move them. And next day he moved them. So he's done really good. He'll do really good as the marshal. And the secret to it is he'll listen. He may not agree with you, but at least he'll listen to you. And we're good friends. But just because if someone never argues with you, probably not a good friend, because they're telling you what you want to hear. So that's been the case with him. He'll go on and do good things. So, any other questions?
He was the sheriff of Gallatin, right?
Yes, he was the sheriff of Gallatin County, that's where I've known him first, and then he retired from that. And the funny part of it is, some people don't know this saying, but he took a trip down the road to Damascus. It's a religious saying, but anyway, he was the biggest whiner, complainer about DOC, the terrible people, you know, what are they thinking, they're lazy, blah, blah, blah. He's always criticizing them. And then he goes and gets a job in charge of the whole thing. And then, sure enough, 6 months later, you ought to see the people who work here. They're awesome. They're doing this and this one. Like, I won't say Drake the Kool-Aid, because he changed the place. He did. He changed it, and he does it by relationships, by building and investing in relationships and getting to know the people, getting them to trust them. But he turned that place around. He did. They made some miraculous changes. He'll help you. So that's how we knew each other. All right?
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Any questions for the sheriff?
Just about done.
Oh, you're not done.
Something else. All right.
Thank you.
Yep, yeah, I get that, yeah.
Appreciate you being, you can stay up if you have more to say.
No, I don't.
You don't.
I was doing
You
this
don't, thank you.
Just for you.
So we're on to other business, and the first thing in other business, I'll turn to our emergency manager, and I think we have a little presentation, or some information at least, from our DES team here. So Kyle, if you'd introduce yourself, if you
Yeah, sure thing. Kyle Sturgill-Simon, Emergency Management for Lewis and Clark County. The wind event has already been covered. On the emergency management side, throughout the whole thing, we were in collaboration with all the responding agencies, Chief Hughes, we were on the phone a couple of times. We type incidents, with a type 5 being kind of the smallest, type 1 being the biggest, and we kind of had that at maybe a type 4, light type 3. We didn't have to call in any heavy state resources. We did do an emergency declaration in recognition of all the extra efforts that were being done to kind of stabilize the area, keep transportation open. We did open a shelter in Helena for one night, because it was the second night without power for a lot of people in the area, including northern Jefferson County. We didn't have any takers, which is a good sign. That's pretty normal. We just want to make sure that if all else fails, somebody had a place to go with power and warmth. And then for the Lincoln area, we were in touch with Chief Hughes and then COAD, which is the Community Organizations Active in Disaster. And we reached out to hotels in town, and if somebody desperately needed a place to stay overnight, setting up a shelter takes time. You need volunteers. Usually it can't be done in a timely manner for just 1 or 2 people. So the COAD was willing and able to pay for hotel nights for a few folks if any were found. Thankfully, there were a few houses that looked like they might need it, but then neighbors came to the rescue. So we didn't end up having to coordinate any of that, but it was in place just in case we needed it. We are still collecting data for damages, and we're sort of cross-referencing what we do know got damaged and where areas where we had to put the most efforts in place against the weather service data for where the winds were not just the strongest, but also on average the highest for the day. And what we're hoping to gain out of that is in the future, when we get a similar weather forecast, we'll know which parts of the county are more susceptible to wind. If it says, well, now we know if we have a weather forecast saying that we're going to get gusts of 90 miles an hour in town, we actually had a gust of 91 miles an hour at the airport. We'll have a little bit better idea of when we need to push out messaging and what we need to tell the public. So that's what we're working on for the wind event. The other reason we came out today, I mentioned COAD, so that's the Community Organizations Active in Disaster. For the last couple of years, there's been, I don't know about an uptick necessarily, but definitely recognizing the fact that there are a lot of people that are living in sort of non-traditional housing. There's a lot of people who've moved RVs and campers on relatives or friends' properties. There's been a lot of barns, sheds, garages, shacks that have been converted to housing. They weren't necessarily designed to be lived in long-term. And unfortunately, on the fire side, we're seeing that's impacting people. You get a lot of fires started from kerosene heaters, improperly vented wood stoves, electric heaters that are running off of insufficient electrical grids, a lot of extension cords, things along those lines. And the American Red Cross has a program that can provide a free smoke detector for anyone who needs it, but one of their stipulations is that it has to be an address with a stick-built traditional home. They can't provide a smoke detector for just everywhere. And so COAD and the Lewis and Clark County Rural Fire Council realized that was a little bit of a gap. And this packet here is a collaboration work that is for people who are living in non-traditional housing that do not have a smoke detector. This actually goes a little bit beyond that. So we have smoke detector and carbon monoxide detectors. And then we have a small escape style fire extinguisher. This wouldn't necessarily put a fire out in an RV or a camper, but it would increase chances of getting out of the camper. And then all of our community partners got together and provided a little bit of public services that are available. Tri-County Fire Safe Working Group for fire mitigation, public health, thank you very much, for all of the different programs that are available for people, as well as carbon monoxide signs and prevention from Red Cross, and then a home fire escape plan template for people to fill out. So we brought our kits here, all told from donations from COAD, the Rural Fire Council, the Church of Latter-day Saints, and Lowe's. We were able to put together 50 kits for the whole county, and we're going to leave some with Chief Muse here. Next week we're going to leave some up in Augusta, and then we also already have partners identified in the Helena area.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
All right, how about questions for Kyle or comments?
Are those, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
are those smoke detectors and carbon monoxide battery operated, or you gotta plug it into 110?
Battery operated.
Okay, good.
And a battery.
Autumn, anything you want to correct or clarify, you know?
You did a great job.
Okay, good. Excellent.
He's learning. Good job, Bob.
Thank you, Kyle, appreciate it very much. I will turn last but very much not least to CAO Baltz and we'll call it our CAO report. He's got a few things to share with us today, I believe, so thanks, Roger.
Thank you. I'm Roger Baltz, the CAO for the county. Wanted to give everybody an update about the CDBG planning grant that was applied for. So the CDBG grant was awarded on Christmas Eve, December the 24th. We got the notice of it. So that's $50,000. This is for the Public Safety Center / EOC for Lincoln project. The total project will be $62,500, 25% match will be provided. The grant activities will be to develop a preliminary architectural report for a new public safety center for the Upper Blackfoot Valley and support grant writing services for preparation of a grant in the future to support construction activities. The next steps will be that the county will procure a formal solicitation to conduct a PAR, preliminary architectural report. The anticipated date to post the solicitation is early January, and we hope to have a contracted architecture firm in place by March of 26. Once contracted firm is in place, one or more on-site meetings with the architectural firm and project stakeholders will be scheduled. The PAR will include an estimated construction budget based on the proposed design, but it is highly recommended to begin any kind of fundraising plan now. Ann McCauley, our County Director of Grants and Procurement, has started a plan that will need to be refined as we continue this work. So everyone, Ann McCauley provided this summary for us today. Just wanted to give everybody a quick update about that. Thank you very much.
Okay, how about questions about that?
I have
Zach, come on
a
up.
comment on that. So as, Zach, Reeves, Fire Chief, as we get closer to them showing up, you know, we've got a preliminary design that we've, basically me, just sketched out, and I'm no architect, engineer, whatever. We'll have an idea of what we can do, and one of the issues that came up with building something of that size is lack of housing, temporary housing, for a contractor to bid the job. And fortunately, we have several Sutton guys that have cabins here, or a couple that actually live here year-round, so that bodes well for us. And then last night, I just got a new guy on our fire department, Levi Brinegar's brother, you know Levi. And he's a builder, and he's from Northern California, and he built a lot of like missile defense systems and all of that.
Okay.
And when I mentioned this to him, I'm just touring the place and getting him on board, he's like, oh, I'll be bidding on it. So that's gonna be a huge advantage, at least we know there's somebody, and he says, that's what I do. So, that'll be a huge help. Hopefully, and for those that don't know, it's gonna be fire, EMS, and sheriff's office will be included in this one building on Stemple, where we have 2 fire stations there currently, and hopefully bring it a one-stop shop, and then you can get rid of your World War II bunker out by the county shop, and, yeah, so, thank you, Roger, and thank you guys for supporting that, and we look forward to hopefully getting this done sometime in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah.
It does take time, and we are not going to the taxpayers. That's the biggest part of this, is people can't afford the new tax, or an increase in their taxes. So we're trying to do this as much as we can as grants, and see what happens, hopefully. Then once it's built, I'll stay for 1 year and retire. At least enjoy it for a year.
Thank you, Zach. Just a comment, Jen, you might be able to back me up on this, but I think when we engage in a preliminary architectural report, part of that, especially for something new like this, I think part of that process would be that architect, whomever's chosen, would be asking that the end users, what are your needs, what do you see, they're gonna wanna know what your interest and vision is for the project before they start to develop that and put some, pen to paper. So I think they'll consider all of that. They'll be probably talking to the sheriff, talking to you, talking to others that might be the end users about, what do you want from this food? What do you want it to do? How do you want it to serve the community? Blah, blah, blah. And then they start to develop their preliminary report about what they could put together and how much that would cost, right? Okay. So I think that's all part of the process.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Just give us an idea what it's gonna cost for what we're looking at, if we can do it on that lot. I just took measurements, and I'm like, okay, there's a door, and I can fit 13 of those, whatever, and that's all I did, just to give them an idea of what we're looking at.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Anything else for?
The only thing I forgot,
Yes, sir.
that was, I didn't bring it up because I was trying to bring up all great news, but this is not. The undersheriff up in Lincoln County, Hislop was his last name, passed away yesterday, early in the morning from a heart attack. So he was a current undersheriff, so there'll be several of us going up for the funeral and helping out. They requested the honor guard, so we'll go up and do the law enforcement honors. But it's always sad when, he wasn't that old, but the older I get, that some people, never mind. Anyway.
You've had your foot in that door.
Yeah, yep. Glad that the other one didn't slip in there. Anyway, so, just if you see somebody it's Lincoln County up in,
Plains and
shelter, or
That's
a
Libby.
Libby, yeah. So they get hit with floods, they had a shooting up there, now the undersheriff dies, so I don't know if somebody's dancing around there with a voodoo doll or what's going on, but at any rate, they're sure getting hit. So just keep them in your thoughts, if you're the praying kind, just pray for their safety, and I appreciate being able to bring you the awareness. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg. So how about any other public comment on any item that's not on our agenda today that we haven't spoken about? Anybody have any interest? Any public comment? Any public comment? All right, we'll be back. We'll be back on February 6th. Goodness sake, that's only 3